Hello, Lisa Ditkowsky, Certified Financial Planner, Global Political Business Intelligence, Trump all the way, Illinois, Trump all the way. Little impromptu video in response to Collin, Corbett, and the Leadership Institute's smoke-filled room, their recent episode, Long Nine Studios, which they had all 6 of them there, really promoting Tom Demmer, part of the Irvin Slate, the Richard Irvin corrupted Democratic slate last year that was completely taken down. Milhiser, Teresi, Demmer, Steve Kim, and Richard Irvin, all cronies of Pritzker. So now, once again, we have Collin, Corbett, Core Strategies, promoting a corrupt Democrat, Tom Demmer. Choir boy looks with the globalist glaze if looks could kill. Blonde, sandy blonde hair, looks kind of like a choir boy if you put a translucent screen in front of him. He's kind of a bot, kind of chipped, not really part of the real world, controlled by the globalists. But Collin was saying Win Stroller has only been serving the 37th district, huge district, since 2021, and he's stepping down. Well, probably because he's a very bad rhino and he has to step down. So that's a huge Peoria, Illinois, Dixon, Illinois area. And if some of us remember last year, there were Department of Defense assets in Peoria, Illinois, being run by Pritzker. Angie O, long last name, and her husband both work for publicly traded Department of Defense companies, and they were pimping real estate, foreclosures and really inexpensive real estate to indigent minority people, trying to get them, LGBTQ, BIPOC, from all over the country to come flood Peoria, Illinois, which, by the way, has shot up liquor stores and strip clubs and gambling places, and Caterpillar closed there, and buildings that are just gutted and vacant. It's not that much different in Peoria, Illinois than a lot of parts of the heart of Chicago. Very run down and left to rot and decay. Thank you, Win Stroller. I guess that's why you're stepping down. But Pritzker had this plan with Michael Pegues, Richard Irvin's best friend, and Richard Irvin to connect Peoria with Aurora, with the Quad Cities down there, and make it all on a smart city grid with fiber optics and telecommunications. Make them all smart cities with social credit currency systems. And I've seen the documentation on all of this. There are still websites up that have to do with it. This isn't sci-fi. This is reality of what they're trying to do to control and surveil people in smart cities. So the reason that Collin, Corbett, and Dario, Paya, and Morton, Blackwell's the Leadership Institute would be so adamant that we need a Tom Demmer, part of the Irvin Slate, to run for 37th district is because that's massive communist territory, massive CCP territory. So Michael Butler, Pritzker's Tickle Me Elmo, said, oh, Tom Demmer might run. He has lots of money and is popular amongst Republicans, ran for treasurer. He could be a great candidate. It would be awesome to have him back. He brings a lot to the table. And Collin said someone like a Demmer could clear the field pretty quickly, both with his experience and his cash on hand advantage. Jonathan said Demmer won that district by 26 points in the general election. Let's remember he was running unopposed for treasurer and he didn't win. And that's a Republican district, and he didn't win because he was part of the corrupt Democratic Irvin Slate. And then Jonathan says he was sitting on $300,000, but he's still tied to the Richard Irvin Slate. Bingo, Jonathan, you're the smart one in the bunch. And Jonathan said the electorate is turning more conservative. But Collin said Demmer is a solid conservative, but he is tied to that world of Irvin and Bruce Rauner. Okay, Collin. anyone who was taking money from the communist Irvin Slate, which they were offshoring CyrusOne to Global Infrastructure Partners and KKR and Scientel Solutions, and anyone who's part of the offshoring, they gave Sequoia Capital, Neil Shen and Matt Wang of Paradigm board seats on Citadel, Ken Griffin's company. Anybody, you know, these are communist Chinese that were on the board of Citadel who was doing this, taking CyrusOne private. So you can't say people that were taking money from communist China and offshoring a $2 billion a year, 10-year renewable Department of Defense military NSA contract in Aurora, Illinois is a good conservative. No, they're a dirty, corrupt, democratic globalist. So Tom Demmer, the choir boy with the globalist glaze, no, Tom Demmer, no. We cannot have Tom Demmer run. Let's just show you a few things. They said it was like an Irvin Slate reunion earlier this year. Don Teresi, Illinois GOP, and Ari Fleischer turns into a Richard Irvin campaign reunion. And here, look at this. These names would make you barf up your lunch. Ari Fleischer, Brian Casal, Lynn O'Brien, Vince Colbert, Richard Porter, Kathy Salvi. I'm sure Al Salvi was there too, who never paid back $1.5 million in his campaign loans from back when he ran a long time ago. But February 14th, 2023, Chicago Central Business District, Illinois GOP Chairman Don Teresi, Illinois GOP Finance Committee. They should put an extra O in GOP, goop. The goopy, gone Illinois GOP. We disavow them. They're gone. Bad people. But Collin, Corbett, Dario, Paya, the Leadership Institute, Morton, Blackwell, that's the country of Chile, UDI Party of Chile is Dario Paya. He's half of the Leadership Institute. His co-founder of UDI Party was assassinated. So you have South American leaders whose founders of their political parties get assassinated running the Leadership Institute in Washington, D.C. So they're running Collin Corbett because they confirmed for Joseph Severino that Collin Corbett works for them. And so, of course, he's saying that the Irvin Slate garbage, who was rejected by voters categorically, could somehow run Peoria, Illinois, and Dixon. It's not going to happen. And let's share some urgent talking points about Tom Demmer. Tom Demmer has been director of strategic planning of a hospital for almost 20 years, claims to be a legislator 9.5 years, who cares about healthcare and education, but has instead left Illinois healthcare and education to perish over his 2 decades in control. Tom Demmer sat idle the past 3 years as horrific vaccine mandates, social isolation mandates, universal masking mandates, and anti-small business mandates were handed down from his peers. Tom Demmer is not a leader. Demmer is a follower of the globalists pushing a surveillance state and one world government, United Nations Smart Cities 2030 plan. On September 9th, 2021, Tom Demmer voted to increase the growth of wind, solar, and other forms of renewable energy. On April 22nd, 2021, Tom Demmer voted to allow alleged criminals to change their names. On May 31st, 2021, Tom Demmer votes not to prohibit cities and counties from entering into contracts with U.S. Immigration and Customs. Tom Demmer is a globalist of the highest order. In 2020, Tom Demmer is quoted as an AI expert and 20-year hospital innovation and strategy expert on COVID and technology for Council of State Governments' new One World Government publication, Capital Ideas. The United Nations and World Economic Forum would be really proud of the young man from Dixon, Illinois, for towing the globalist line. Tom Demmer is on the Leveraging Innovation Healthy States National Task Force for the Council of State Governments, a sister organization of WHO? World Health Organization, from which Trump withdrew us, and Trump nor Biden has put us back in the World Health Organization. CSG.org is a sister organization of who? Tom Demmer is on the Leveraging Innovation, Healthy States National Task Force for the Council of State Governments. Corrupt organizations. Demmer is a proponent of all the invasive, freedom-stealing COVID biometric control and tracking measures devastating families across America the past 3-4 years. He is constantly proposing new smart city and surveillance controls on citizens. So, no, Collin, Corbett, no, the Leadership Institute. There is no way Tom Demmer is going to get any office or should have any office or should not be serving Americans. He is a globalist of the highest order. He may look like a choir boy, but the globalist glaze is blinding, and if looks could kill. Do your research. No Tom Demmer, but they're very concerned about Peoria and Dixon, Illinois, because it's part of the smart city grid that their plan was botched last year when the Irvin Slate was taken down. And it looks very barren and deserted in parts of Peoria, like Garfield Park, like a lot of the horrible areas of Chicago that came to a standstill after the 2020 riots. And Peoria is very similar to that. So the globalists have decimated it, and that's why Angie O teamed up with Pritzker last year. Angie and her husband, Department of Defense Assets. Look at Angie O's TikTok channel. She's a hoe for abodes. That's what she called herself, a hoe for abodes. I'm not a realtor, but I act like one to help JB Pritzker. And she wanted people to pack the census for the radical leftists in Peoria, Illinois. It was very corrupt gerrymandering going on and trying to pack the census with people that can't afford places to live, convincing them to move to dumps, and then they'd be stuck in places that wouldn't have working plumbing, electricity, would have major problems, and they wouldn't have the money to fix up the places they were living in. So Tom Demmer is tied to all that. He's in that Dixon, Peoria area. But Collin, you cannot do these Long Nine Studios smoke-filled rooms, communist propaganda episodes, and speak up corrupt Democrats from the Irvin Slate and say they have a good chance of winning because they have $300,000. They had $100 million last year, and the whole Irvin Slate was taken down. Richard Irvin, Steve Kim, total globalist, did the new Iraq 2013 plan, working on the Saudi Arabia 2030 vision plan, promoter of wars in the Middle East. Very, very bad people. Very bad. So I could go on, but the whole slate was taken down, and Tom Demmer did not win treasurer, and he's not going to win state rep in Peoria because he's corrupt. He can't have that position. Lisa Ditkowsky, global fertility business intelligence, global political business intelligence, certified financial planner, plush capital management, Trump 2016, Trump 2020, Trump 2024. Thank you.